Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. You know what that means. It's tax day. That's right. The only thing guaranteed in life, death and taxes. But anyway, so glad you could join me. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, broadcasting to you on Facebook and on YouTube each and every weekday morning. The only place on the web where you can join me live. It doesn't cost you a dime. We chat about what's going on with markets and rates and pricing and mortgage rates and all that good stuff. Again, this show is for mortgage professionals. I seem to have a lot of people watch it that are not in the industry, and that's okay too. And some friends that watch it. So thank you, my friends, for joining me. As far as my mortgage friends go, appreciate you being here. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Let Facebook or YouTube know that you were here. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Go ahead, maybe tag an originator friend and maybe share this post into a group. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. With all that said, let's go ahead and say hi to all the live folks here this morning, all of my friends. We've got Mr. James Mahan. Good morning, sir. Great to have you here. Tim Klyla, good to see you, sir. Michael Love, thank you for joining me as always. Brandy Brickler, good morning. Mike Morano, hope all is well. How's married life, man? Hope you are still enjoying the honeymoon. Amy Blauser, good morning. Deb Dickinson, good morning. Candido Diaz, good to see you, sir, up there in the Northeast. Carly McLeod, did I get that one right? McLeod? How do you say that one? Hello, either way. Mike Tebow, good to see you, sir, in Michigan. Megan Lindberg, Marissa Nasco, great to have you here. Jerry Avila, good to see you, sir. Hope all is well in your world, my friend, as you are out there serving veterans. Megan Lindberg, good to see you as well. Tom Stafford, great to have you here. Remember, if you would like a text reminder that I'm going live so you don't miss the show each day, you can unsubscribe, of course, at any time, and it doesn't cost anything, hmmr.io/reminder, or use this cool QR code. If you're on your phone now, take a screenshot, and then you can use a cool QR code later from your photos, which I think is like the coolest feature that they finally did that. Mick Cloud, thank you, ma'am. I may ask you that again because I have a memory like a goldfish. But Colin Jordan, good morning, sir. Kyle Mazikas, good to see you. Ron Siegel, good morning. Today is National Glazed Spiral Ham Day. Who doesn't love themselves some pork? I do love me some spiral ham. I don't know if it has to be glazed. Do y'all like ham? Good morning, Lisa Cash. All right, let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's get the show on the road. So thankful to have all of you here. Let's go ahead. So mortgage-backed securities currently up 1 basis point. Basically, it's flat on the day. However, that is a huge win when we take a look at what happened yesterday. Let's go ahead and put this on today. Let's zoom in a little bit. Take a look at what happened with mortgage-backed securities yesterday during the day. Everything in front of this dotted line is what we are looking at. That is yesterday. When this line goes up, that is good for your rate sheets, good for rates, good for your pricing. When this line goes down, that is bad when we lose ground, right? So yesterday, when most lenders were setting pricing, it was right around 10 a.m. We were around 98.70, we'll call it, right? 98.70. We ended the day yesterday right around 98.90. So it was actually up about 20 basis points on the day from when pricing came out. The good news is that means that many lenders did reprice better yesterday. Let me know in the comments. Good morning, Monica Dinkins, Angela Walters. Let me know in the comments if y'all got reprices better yesterday. There were quite a few. And you know it does take some pretty decent movement to see reprices better. Now, let's put this in perspective. Let's go ahead and take a look at the candlesticks. Let me make the screen a little bit smaller so it fits a little better. All right, take a look here. Look at this giant line down. And in fact, what we should do is probably put this in a line chart for you just for a minute. So that we can take a look at it. I'm going to click on line chart and but look at what happened here. This is mortgage-backed security pricing. So just like that 48-hour chart, when you see it move up, that's good for rates and pricing. And you saw the tariff announcement was right over here on April 2nd. We saw that, mortgage bonds had been improving before the tariff announcement. After tariffs, we saw flight to safety. Things were looking fantastic for mortgage rates. We peaked right here on Thursday, April 3rd. And then right after that, we just saw last week a brutal sell off. So the week before, the first week of April, on Friday, mortgage-backed securities at 100.32. Monday, we had a huge sell-off. We went from 100.32 down to 99.59. Huge sell-off. We saw rates jump that day. Of course, we had been advising to lock before that. Then we saw another brutal day on Tuesday. Wednesday, if you remember, I'm going to put this back to candlesticks because candlesticks allow us to see a little more information. When you see this candlestick here on Wednesday, this green candlestick, let's go ahead and let's make this 1 month so they get a little bit bigger. Okay. Look at this green candlestick that we saw here on Wednesday. It was green because we actually did improve on the day from where it opened, but it was still worse than the day before. So we saw rate sheets getting worse, right? Now we were all the way down, and this is where we were in a floating stance because we wanted to get through that. The next couple of days were bad, and you can see, though, that right now we're at 98.92 for the 30-year 5.5 coupon here. 98.92. Let me get rid of this. Sorry. 98.92. Remember that number, okay? 98.92. And you can see here, looking at the candlesticks, that puts us very close to where we were when we ended the day on Wednesday of last week. So, which is what I warned you. I warned you we were going to see continued volatility. It got worse on Wednesday, and then remember, it bounced back. Then Thursday was a brutal day, and people were like, what should we do? What should we do? And the concern was, it was like, hey, you got to pick and choose when to lock on these. We're going to see more volatility. Let's float through it as much as you're going to need in assets. Friday was another brutal day. Yesterday, we've seen recovery. All right. We know that part of that has to do with announcements on certain tariffs, specifically electronics tariffs. However, there is a, what do you want to call it, like an anvil floating above our head if we were in one of those cartoons where we have, a lot that can go wrong right now. Because if we see new talk from Trump about putting in the tariffs. Remember, he said that they were going to go ahead and pause these additional tariffs on electronics, basically. But they're going to put in specific tariffs for pharmaceuticals and, superconductors. And they're gonna fall into that. When we see that, we could see a lot of reprice. So let's go ahead and bring this stuff up. Quick recap. As I showed you here yesterday, we saw a nice improvement in bonds. Bonds did start off the day with gains, and it only got better. Many lenders did improve pricing as that went on. Yes, Randy Tickle, I do eat ham on non-holidays, man. I love some. In fact, ham lunch meat, I eat a lot. I eat a lot of it. Mike Schmolgan, good to see you. Randy Tickle, giddy up, sir. Monica Dinkins. So I haven't seen any of y'all on there. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up emoji or a Y for yes or N for no, or say yes or no. Who saw reprices better yesterday? And, give me an idea. Are you guys monitoring? What's your biggest challenge right now with this market? Is it monitoring loans that are currently in process or having conversations with new consumers? Now, also pay attention as we're looking here. Look at this ticking its way up. Mortgage bonds trying to climb on the day. Don't get too excited. We could see that change in an instant. Again, reprice risk today is high. Although we have found a calm to the storm, it would only take one. I don't want to call it a tweet because he doesn't tweet it. He puts it on Truth Social. But it would only take one posting by Trump on social media to send everything just to the shitter again. So keep that in mind. It's very, very possible for that to happen. We want to keep an eye on this 10-year Treasury yield, 4.36 at the moment. You can see that it hit its peak right here around 4.5 on Friday, and we've been moving down since then, which is very good to see. Let's refresh this because that's actually the chart is wrong there. So we're in a good spot when it comes to this. And as far as that goes as well, check out here it is, Bessent. So Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he said, number one, that he downplayed the recent sell-off in the bond market, rejecting speculation that foreign nations were dumping their treasuries. Remember, that was a whole big thing, is that they were saying that China was dumping treasuries. He has downplayed that and said they were not dumping treasuries. He was rejected that speculation and flagging that his department has tools to address dislocation, meaning if the market were to break as needed. I don't think there's a dumping by foreign investors, Bessent said in an interview Monday with Bloomberg Television while on a visit to Buenos Aires, Argentina. He pointed to what he said was increased foreign demand on the 30-year and 10-year treasury auctions last week, which they did have pretty good demand. So Bessent, remember, Japan actually holds more U.S. bonds than China, by the way. Bessent reiterated his interpretation of the decline being mainly a product of deleveraging. I have no evidence that it's sovereign behind the drop. And he said, we're a long way away from needing to take action, but we have a big toolkit we can roll out. If so, that includes department's buyback program for older securities. We could up the buybacks if we wanted. And that goes into more detail talking about that. So there's some good things here. Asked about whether in his latest weekly sit down with Fed Chair Jerome Powell, there was any discussion of concerns about the Treasury market. Bessent said, specifically, did we discuss some kind of a break the glass? I think we're a long way from that. Pressed on whether Powell was concerned, he said, I think we would have heard from the Fed chair if that were the case. So remember, there had been all this talk that the Fed was going to need to do an emergency meeting and et cetera, and that really has not been a thing. Take a look here. This is Reuters. Fed Governor Waller was, again, there were a lot of Fed speakers yesterday. There's a few more today. They're out there. He said he used the term transitory and said transitory is another word for temporary. When they pointed out to him that the Fed was wrong on this before, he's like, okay, well, we were wrong on the last one. Does that mean we can't be right on this one, or that you'll never use the term again? I mean, it was kind of funny the way he addressed it. So the Trump administration's tariff policies are a major shock to the U.S. economy. That could lead the Fed to cut interest rates to head off recession, even if inflation remains high, or alternately leave little lasting imprint if they turn out to be a negotiating tool. So he said high tariffs could lead to a slowdown. There was definitely talk of a bigger concern over recession than there was of the inflation. Fed could fight recession with rate cuts, even if inflation stays high. Expect tariff-related rise in inflation would be temporary. Negotiations could lower the impact on the economy, meaning that he knows that Trump will definitely come in. Sometimes Trump goes he steps into the room swinging and then kind of backs off a little bit after he's been in there. It's a very documented MO with him, so it's very likely. And that's why we're seeing the improvement that we're seeing right now in bonds and in markets, is because markets think, okay, he went in heavy. Now he's easing back. We've seen two instances where he actually pulled back on that stuff. Number one was when he said, hey, we're going to go ahead and back off tariffs from these particular products. And then number two was with the semiconductors and phones and electronics. So that's kind of what we've seen happening here. As far as rates go, take a look, and I'm going to try to make this even. There you go. So take a look. This is mortgage rates using Mortgage News Daily as a reference point. Last week, the worst we saw was on Friday. And yet that was really just that wasn't even the worst that we saw in February. Early January, and I can actually make this a little bit bigger. There you go. So if we take a look back here in January, rates were much higher. Almost through the whole month of January, we saw rates were higher than where we're at now. And even in February, they didn't really go down too much lower than where they're at. We had a nice run in March. That's the problem. And we saw the lowest rates of the year right before we got this huge jump within a week. And that's kind of the thing as well. The dust will settle. But when you look at the kind of step back and take a look at it, rates are very much in line. Anybody that was thinking about buying a house January, February, rates are still in that same line. What you want to be doing, it's the same advice that I told you a few months ago and I told you a few weeks ago. We're going to see windows. We'll see rates drop back down again, and then rates are going to bump back up again. You're going to see these windows where rates fall. So just keep that in mind. As far as any advice for paying points, it's really a scenario-by-scenario basis. Some rate sheets and some people, it'll make sense. They're going to be in there a while, and they might not refinance. If it were me, I generally would avoid paying points right now, because if we do see all of these tariffs create a recessionary environment, if the economy slows down, if the labor market slows down, we will see a chance to refinance these people in 6 months or a year. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it will be within that time frame. If you're doing VA loans, they need to make payments, and they need to wait 210 days anyway, and that's kind of, I think, going to fall in line with very much with what we may see. We really could see a slowdown, or we might not. It really, a lot of it lies in the action reaction of what happens with the tariffs. And the tariffs do not have to drive us into a recession if they continue to play the ebb and the flow. Right now, there's a lot of pushback coming. Ron said it would be good for the U.S. if China dumped their U.S. treasuries. Our Fed could purchase that and then sell some of the higher priced treasuries the Fed holds. Obviously, the Fed holds almost 5 times what China holds, so they can let that run off smoothly. China's currency then strengthens, and that'll hurt China too. There's no logic in China selling. Yeah, very, very well said. Randy Tico, conversation with folks who were too slow to respond to refi texts. Yep. Tell them, be ready for the next one. Randy, that's what I would be telling those people when you're having those conversations. And definitely you want to be telling everybody, be ready for the next one. Hey, you missed this one. They're going to be fleeting. They're going to come in, they're going to go out. So be ready for that. So we do have that going on this week, and kind of where we stand, and that's there. So Ron, I'm showing consumers why they're better off getting a rebate right now, so we're prepared for rate correction when it happens in the next 6 to 12 months. No promises, just a forecast. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So for those of you that are curious on what Ron is saying, again, he's giving them a rebate, so he's taking a little bit of a higher interest rate so he can give them more credit, and then that gives more of a reason to refinance to a lower rate later. And that it's like reverse points. It's the lender paying them for taking a rate rather than them paying the lender to get a rate. So could really pay off in this scenario if things work out. We don't know. Nobody knows. We've been wrong on any longer term outlook on any of this stuff before. So, but as far as where I would be on all this, again, I'm still cautiously floating, even though reprice risk is high on the day. The reason reprice risk is high, it's not likely that we see any immediate reaction unless it is initiated by comments about tariffs or something in the headlines. So otherwise, there's really no reason to see anything negative. We could see some continued correction from last week's sell-off. I mean, again, you look at how this falls straight down, and now we're getting the bounce. How high will the bounce go? Will we see resistance at the 100-day moving average at, say, 99.18? It's possible, but even then, that's another 20 basis points higher than where we're at right now, and that would improve rate sheets. So you want to continue, cautiously float. Let's see where everything goes, and I think we want to pay attention to that 10-year Treasury yield. We did cap at 4.5 and fell back down. Remember, once again, that's where it was going through January into early February. The 10-year was at the 4.5-ish mark. Mortgage-backed securities were much worse off, like they were, after this sell-off here. So we didn't see the worst. This is not the end all do all, worst thing ever kind of a thing. It's not even the worst thing of the year in the last few months. So we can expect more volatility or potential for volatility is kind of where we're at now. Markets have settled in and settled down. It's a potential for volatility more than actual volatility. And it all has to do with what you see as far as the headlines. China pushing back. Now they're not going to buy Boeing planes. Markets show signs of stabilizing despite the trade war turmoil. It's exactly what I was saying, which is good. Trump's trade war deepens threat to U.S. brands in China. So, we'll go there. So, Ron made a comment. Y'all can take a look at that where he's got a thing. So check that out. It's cool. So Robert says, so we thinking the 10-year goes to 5? I'm not. No, I don't think it will. Plus, remember something. Like Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary, he said, they do have tools to go ahead and, if it does push up, to help bring it back down. We saw a really, really crazy reaction last week, mainly because traders don't know what to expect. We've never gone through anything of quite this magnitude as far as tariffs and trade wars and everything else. But if we did see a big run up, they could step in and do something. And they've come on, Scott Bessent has come on record and said that they would step in and do something if it was needed. But like he says here, we're a long way from needing to take action, but we have a big toolkit we can roll out if they need to. So no, I don't think you have to worry, Robert, about the 10-year getting up to 5%. I don't think that's going to be something that we have to deal with. So thankfully. All right. Well, anyway, that's it, my friends. Thanks for being with me today. Hopefully that helps you. Again, we want to continue to cautiously float. Let's watch where this goes. We do have an opportunity to see improvement to rates and pricing. Anything closing near term, you got to be very, very decisive on risk tolerance. And if you want to float through any kind of a reversal or negative, but for now, we can at least start the day floating. Remember, if you want to stay tuned with what's happening during the day, because all of this could change in a moment, make sure you sign up for our text alerts. They're a whopping $7 a month. Basically, it covers the cost of sending out text messages, and we make a few bucks on top. I could charge 3 times that, and people would still subscribe, but I do it because I don't think it needs to be you shouldn't have to spend a lot of money to protect your pipeline. www.ratetextalerts.com. They're $7 a month. If you're not a member, go check them out. If you've been on there before and anything ever happened with your credit card or something, go sign up again. This is the best advice I'll give you. We have about 1,200 people that are signed up for it, and everybody likes it. So, Ron, Grab and Go Social today. See you there. Getting good responses from those posts. That's awesome, man. And hopefully I will be on that call. I might not because I'm getting my countertops in the kitchen. I will bring some pictures for y'all tomorrow. I'll show you guys some pictures. Got the island done and the cooktop and a beautiful slab of quartzite in there. And it's come a long way. So I just haven't shown you guys in a while. So, all right, I will see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.